Imagine stepping into the pinnacle of motorcycle racing, MotoGP, and realizing your real training ground wasn't the expected stepping stone of Moto2, but the gritty world of superbikes. That's exactly what rising star Nicolo Bulega is championing, and with his upcoming debut, it's a claim that's sure to turn heads in the racing community. Nicolo Bulega, the talented Italian rider, is set to make his grand entrance into MotoGP this weekend at the Portimao circuit. He's stepping in for the injured world champion Marc Marquez at the prestigious factory Ducati team. Talk about pressure. For those new to the sport, MotoGP is the elite class of Grand Prix motorcycle racing, featuring cutting-edge prototypes that push the limits of speed and technology. Bulega brings a unique resume to the table, having competed in both Moto2 and the production-based Superbike series, giving him a first-hand perspective on what truly prepares a rider for this level. His journey hasn't been straightforward. After 3 challenging seasons in Moto2, the intermediate class known for its 765 cubic centimeters Triumph engines, and intense competition that hones riders' skills on slightly less powerful bikes than MotoGP machines, Bulega hit a reset button. He switched to the World Supersport Championship, where he dominated to secure the 2023 title. That success opened doors to the World Superbike Championship, WorldSBK, Ducati's promotion, where he's been nipping at the heels of champion Toprak Razgatlioglu and his BMW squad for the last 2 years, finishing as runner-up both times. WorldSBK, for beginners, uses modified production motorcycles, closer to what you might see on the street, but tuned for racing, which adds a layer of real-world adaptability to the mix. Looking ahead, Razgatlioglu himself is making the big leap to MotoGP in 2026 with Pramac Yamaha, but before that, Bulega gets his shot in the Portimao and Valencia rounds. However, with just under 30 laps on the Ducati Desmosedici during a rainy test session at Jerez, that's the factory's flagship MotoGP bike. By the way, Bulega knows he's facing a steep challenge. It's not just one standout difference he shared with the official MotoGP site, but a combination of everything that sets it apart. Things like carbon fiber brakes, which handle extreme heat and stopping power far better than standard ones, the ride height device, a clever system that adjusts the bike stance for better acceleration out of corners, a more powerful engine, plus tweaks to the chassis for sharper handling and specialized tires for superior grip. When you add it all up, the gap between superbikes and these Grand Prix prototypes is massive. At 26, he's approaching this as a learning curve. This is the top tier of motorcycles, so I'll be spending plenty of time in the garage these 2 weekends, soaking it all in. Interestingly, Bulega isn't alone in coming from an unconventional path. On the current MotoGP grid, only Jack Miller hasn't passed through Moto2, the Australian veteran, who's been a steady force in the class. But come next season, that changes with Razgatlioglu joining him at Pramac Yamaha straight from WorldSBK. And here's where it gets controversial. Bulega argues that WorldSBK actually mirrors MotoGP machinery more closely than Moto2 ever could. Superbike is fantastic for building a wide range of skills to get you ready for MotoGP, he explained. In my view, it's superior to Moto2 in that preparation. Why? Because superbikes pack way more advanced electronics, think traction control, engine braking, and launch systems that you'll encounter in MotoGP, so you start getting familiar early. The power delivery is also much closer to MotoGP levels, unlike the tamer Moto2 engines. Plus, you're dealing with bikes that have similar speeds, weights, and braking demands, teaching you to handle the raw intensity right away. For newcomers, electronics in racing bikes are like high-tech assistants that help manage power and stability, preventing spins or slides, a far cry from the more basic setups in lower classes. But this is the part most people miss, or at least, the one that sparks debate. Traditionalists swear by Moto2 as the pure breeding ground for MotoGP stars, pointing to legends like Marc Marquez who thrived there. Is Bulega onto something revolutionary, or is he overlooking Moto2's focus on rider talent over tech aids? It's a bold take that challenges the status quo, especially as more superbike aces eye the premier class. As for this weekend, Bulega is keeping it grounded. I'll focus on gaining experience and enjoying the ride, that's the goal. Beyond that, he's lined up for Ducati's MotoGP testing role next season, balancing it with his WorldSBK commitments to gear up for the 2027 regulations shift to 850 cubic centimeters engines and Pirelli tires. This could be a game changer for how teams bridge the gap between series. Peter, our paddock insider with 2 decades under his belt, has witnessed it all from Valentino Rossi's glory days to his retirement, the dramatic Suzuki withdrawal from MotoGP, and now Marquez's ongoing injury saga. He's right there in the thick of it, bringing you the unfiltered story. So, what do you think? Does WorldSBK really edge out Moto2 as the best school for MotoGP hopefuls? Or is Moto2's rider-centric approach unbeatable? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Agree with Bulega, or got a counterpoint? Let's discuss.